What's up, you guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mirella Manelli. I am so excited to do this live. I love doing lives, and hopefully you can hear me okay. If you can, give me a thumbs up that you can hear me on the live. Make sure all of my technology is working. Now, I did try to get these comments like compiled into a PDF, and for some reason my technology is not working. So I'm going to be reading off a lot of the comments from the last two videos that I just put up, which are my Lightener test videos. Now, I know a lot of you guys had tons of questions and lots of comments, and there was lots of controversy around the Lightener videos. So I just wanted to make a quick video about to clarify some of the things and then also just answer some of your burning questions. I know I answered a ton of your questions on the live, or not on the live, on the videos. So that's kind of what this one's about. So if you haven't watched the Lightener videos, basically what I'm talking about is I tested over 17 different Lighteners that were carried at Cosmoprof. So these were the best Lighteners that are carried in the store, and I basically did a haul. I purchased every single one. I think I spent about like close to $400 or $500 on Lighteners, so that way I can test them, see how well they lift. And I tested only Lighteners that gave us 8 to 9 levels or more of lift. So that was ultimately the goal with this entire test. And I wanted to see how far we could push them with 20 volume. So that was the goal. And a lot of you guys loved the video and some of you guys hated the video. But regardless, hopefully you learned something from the video. I think it was a great test, and I'm just excited to do some more. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a little insight on what I'm working on next and what I plan on doing really, really soon. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go into the very first question that I got here. And like I said, I'm just going to read this off. I'm sorry you won't be able to see it, but this person, 6J6, said, "This video was so interesting, great overall. I was surprised by the results though. I absolutely loathe the Joico Blonde Life. I found it to be so drying and damaging. Didn't ever lift well. Blonde Me has been my favorite and easily gets me to a level 10, but I do hate the swelling. I also wonder about the quality of the swatches you purchased. I feel that has a lot to do with the results. Maybe the hair is actually a blend or has a coating over it. Buying from Amazon is so tricky." So thanks so much for your comment. First of all, let's talk about Joico Blonde Life for just a second. I personally love Joico Blonde Life, and I know, and I appreciate your opinion on the Lightener. And I think that's kind of what this whole video did, is it just brought everybody's experiences together and helped everybody kind of understand maybe their own experiences with it, along with the test results that I gave you. So first of all, I love Joico Blonde Life. I really loved the Silver Light. That's the newest kit on the block, and I thought it just did so amazing. But I have to kind of agree with the Blonde Life. It can be kind of drying sometimes depending on the hair type you're working with. So in general, when I'm working on somebody who has a little bit more compromised hair, Joico Blonde Life is not my go-to lightener. But if I'm working on someone who has really healthy hair, maybe virgin, and we're just trying to go for it and go for like that platinum and blonde, Joico Blonde Life is a great choice for me. But I do agree, it can be drying and damaging if you don't know how to use it well. So I don't agree with like it doesn't ever lift well. I think it does a phenomenal job, but you know, that's your experience versus mine. Blonde Me, she says Blonde Me has been her favorite and easily gets to a level 10, but that you hate the swelling. Now, everybody loves Joico, not Joico, Schwarzkopf Blonde Me. Everybody loves it. Personal, not favorite of mine. I've used it numerous times throughout my career. I know it's been reformulated and a lot of people love it. I think it's a general like okay lightener, like I said in my video, but a lot of you swear by it by getting you to that level 10. Now, if it works for you, great. I think a lot of that has to do with the natural warmth that comes from our head. I think that, you know, when you have that natural heat coming from our head, from our body, that definitely does aid in the lifting process. So just to kind of, piggyback off of that, a lot of you guys love Blonde Me. You think it gives you a lot of lift. I do think that Blonde Me might work best in that scenario, like on an actual human, considering the warmth. So that's something that unfortunately I couldn't really test because the swatches were on a table, right? It's like not attached to somebody's body. Um, but what I will say is if you love blonde meat and it works for you, keep using it. I'm totally about that. Like, there's stuff that I will use that I love and it might not work for you. So, and that's totally okay. I will say that there was probably the most amount of swelling with the blonde meat. So that I do agree with. And then as far as the quality of the swatches, what I will say is that they are virgin hair because there were like different variations of like there were gray hairs in there. So that's a huge indication for me that the swatches that I purchased were virgin hair. And all of the swatches across the board lifted evenly and the same. I think if there was a coating or some type of color on it, we would definitely see some like patchiness with it because a lot of times when hair is processed, because I work with extensions all the time, sometimes they do lift kind of funky, and that's because of the coating and because of the coloring. And I didn't experience that at all with any of the testing that I did. So just to kind of clarify that. So as I move on with all of these comments and stuff, I do want to remind you guys, you are more than welcome to join in the chat, ask me questions. Maybe there's some burning questions you had about the videos. I would love to chat with you. I think there's even a way that I can invite you guys in here. Oh, shoot. There is. So I'm going to go ahead and post it in the comments. So if you want to join, you can show me your beautiful face. So, Rebel Femme, our salon, currently uses Joico, Blonde Me, Kenra, and Danger Jones. We work...
Motion detected at the front door.
Alexa, turned down by 5. We work a lot with a lot of color corrections. So which ones do you think would be best for those type of projects? So I think color corrections are just so kind of like all over the place. I kind of don't necessarily have like a specific one I go to. Well, actually I do. It's kind of like my baseline, but all color corrections are not created equal because sometimes you're dealing with really compromised hair and sometimes you're dealing with hair that's really healthy still, even though it's a correction. So, but generally, if I'm already working on hair that's already been blonded, I love Kenra's Beyond Bond is probably my favorite, but I do love Danger Jones. I love Joico. Again, it just kind of depends. For sure. Do you feel like if you went with 30 or 40 volume, we would have been able to see more promised levels of 8 or 9 lift? Absolutely. So just to kind of clarify, by the way, I love your profile picture. What I will say is we know that using more oxygen, higher developer into our powder lightener, which is formulated with the ammonia, right? We're going to get more lift. Definitely hands down. Realistically, behind the chair in the salon, most of the time we're not grabbing 40 volume to blast out the cuticle because our goal is to preserve the integrity of the hair. So this is why I went with 20. I felt like 20 was a good baseline. What you're going to notice on Instagram, all social channels really, is that everybody is on this train of low and slow. I cannot tell you how many stylists love using 10 volume for max amount of lift, and you can achieve that with 10 volume. You know, of course, the higher developer, it might get you there a little quicker depending on the lightener you're using. But in addition to that, your mixing ratio is has a lot to do with it. So the less developer you have, regardless of your developer choice, the more lift you can get because it's going to be stronger. So for example, your 10 volume mixed at a 1-to-1 can be really similar to a 30 volume mixed at a 1-to-3. So they're both going to kind of blast the cuticle, right? 10 volume can be really, really strong. And it just, again, depends on that mixing ratio. So this is why I decided to just do 20 volume across the board, stick with whatever the recommended mixing ratio was across the board, with the exception unless the brand specified you can only do this or you can only do this. So, and most brands offer 1-to-1, 1-to-2, and 1-to-3. So if it gave me three different options, I just stuck with the middle. If it gave me the 1-to-1 and 1-to-2, I did the 1-to-2 because, again, that's the two options that it gave me. I just try to keep everything the same. At the end of the day, I think that you're able to gauge based on your own experiences with some of your favorite lighteners, you know, what it can do in comparison to the other lighteners. So at least you know what that baseline is, just kind of a controlled test, if you will. So obviously there's going to be different variations of what we can achieve with the lighteners. This is why so many people love Blonde Me, because I think that they know how to use it and how to make it work for them. We know that, you know, if you're a Blonde Me user, a lot of people love that thicker consistency, so they're going to do the 1-to-1.5, and they're going to take really thin, fine sections. That's not how I work. I like taking really big sections. I like using a product that's going to give me a little bit more saturation, a little easier, and something that's going to work quickly. So I know what I like to use when I use it. Can I use Blonde Me and make it work for me? Absolutely, 1000%. And can you use 30 or 40 volume? Absolutely. But to me, it's not the most realistic choice behind the chair. Let's see. So, Brianna, why didn't you use the serum for the SilkLift? Okay, so I didn't even know that there was a serum for the SilkLift, to be completely honest. And as a matter of fact, I went through the manufacturer's instructions and I think it like mentioned it, but it didn't say like I had to use it. So, I was just like a little confused with the SilkLift. I didn't really feel like out of all the brands, I just didn't think the SilkLift had the most clearest instructions that were on the packaging. I literally had to dig kind of far for these instructions, and I ended up using the instructions that were in combination with what was in the insert and what was on Cosmoprof. And then lo and behold, I did mix up that lightener a little incorrectly because I found the actual mixing ratios on the Goldwell website. So I might have to give that one another shot. But regardless, you know, yeah, I just didn't use a SilkLift for that reason. Loving these questions, you guys. Okay, so there's another comment that I wanted to read that unfortunately I'm unable to share with you because, again, my PDF thing was not working. But, and then just a little reminder, if you're just joining, there is a link that it says, it's a link that says StreamYard.com. You can click on that if you want to join me and have a conversation. Totally can do that. I've watched all these lighteners done. Why does everything still look so blorangey? Is it the lighting? Some of them still look like level 7s to the max 8, but when you're holding them up in the end, they look super light. So I'll just kind of stop right there. So this was you're probably referencing the very first video that we did. So when I recorded this video, I was just so excited, and you know, we're using two different cameras. I have this really big boy camera that I absolutely love, and then I was using a little mini camera. So the blorangey look that you were seeing was from my little mini camera that I have no idea how to use, and we were trying our best to figure out the lighting situation. And if you've done any recording, you know that lighting is huge. If you do photography, you know lighting is huge, and doing it inside is kind of difficult sometimes. So I'm not a photographer, I'm not a videographer, so we just did our absolute best to show you the results. So I apologize if the imagery looked a little on the warm side. This is why I used the swatch, and I'm so glad that I did. That actually was my assistant's idea, to pull out the level finder so that way we can compare it, because otherwise, had we not done that, I think you guys would have been like, that looks like a level 7 for sure. So at the end of the day, I'm hopeful that you saw the level finder and at least we're able to kind of gauge it from there. Let's see here. Let's show this comment here. What's the best way for me to start going lighter? I'm dark brown and recently used Chi medium brown 10 volume, but didn't lift at all. I want to gradually reach a light brown ash blonde color. So what I would say is, now that you've used a color, you're definitely gonna have to probably use a lightener, so a bleach, to get lighter, because color does not lift color. And if you use 10 volume, that barely does anything with color. It just kind of does deposit or like a half to a full level of pigment shift. It doesn't really do much. I would say the best way for you to gradually go lighter is just do some highlights, some baby lights, and then do an overall gloss. That's going to be your best bet. That would be my recommendation for sure. So let me read the second part to this original comment that I was reading here. So Pass Lighting. Blondor is my go-to lightener, and I've tried a lot of these. Blondor has also has an extra cool, which has a turquoise-like color factor. What level finder are you using as well? Appreciate this informative video. Can you do the link for the swatches? Okay, so the level finder I was using was from Kenra, and I think most level finders are all similar. So I know some people were like, your level finder looks bad, or your level finder this. At the end of the day, you guys, like, the level finders are level finders. It's just to show you darkness to lightness, and I think it had its purpose. It did a pretty good job of showing you what level each of those swatches truly lifted at. As far as the Blondor, a lot of you guys love Blondor too. And when I did the test, I can't say, like, there was just like a few where I was like, oh, hard no, hard pass. Like, I'm never going to use this lightener. But for the most part, they all kind of performed very similar. There's were the ones that I picked, just the integrity wowed me, the lift wowed me, and the overall just experience of it. But at the end of the day, I think it boils down to you actually trying the lighteners and seeing how you work, because we all work differently, you know? And then as far as the links to the swatches, I did put the links to the swatches in the very first video, so it is in the description there for sure. All right, moving on to the next one I wanted to clarify. Let's see here. I mainly use bleach for my roots. Do you think that the swelling is a problem and leads to overlapping? Are there any ways to decrease the swelling? Okay, so swelling was a huge factor that I gauged also some of my favorite lighteners. I don't love lighteners that swell a whole lot, and I think this is partly why the low and slow method is so popular, because the more oxygen we introduce to our lightener, the more swelling we have. This is why I saw a couple people comment, this is why I use 7-vol in my as my developer choice, or this is why I use 10-vol all the time, because the higher the developer, the more swelling you're gonna get. And 1000% yes, swelling plays a huge role in overlap, especially for a bleach and tone. So if you are doing a bleach and tone and you have a bleach that you love that does swell quite a bit, this is how you can mitigate that. Simply take some cotton, place it in between each section. It adds a little bit more time, but your client's gonna thank you, and you're gonna thank yourself, because you're gonna nail the overall application of the entire look, and you're gonna avoid a ton of breakage, because ultimately, if you are damaging the hair, your client is not gonna come back to you. That's just like a hard pass for them. So definitely swelling can be a factor. And yeah, to decrease the swelling, you would use a lower volume developer and then just process a little longer. Hope that answers your question. What lightener would you recommend for baby stylists that would be universal and work for most clients? That is a really great question. So as a baby stylist, gosh, okay, I think personally there's 3 types of lighteners you need. You need your powerlifting lightener, you need the lightener that's gonna, move through the hair really quickly, give you the lift that you want on generally healthy hair. Then there's the lightener that is a little bit more on the gentler side. This is gonna be a lightener that is also really versatile, but maybe has like a bond builder built inside, something that's gonna give you extra protection, more hydration, okay? Maybe not going to give you the most amount of lift, but it's going to give you some lift, maybe because you're working on slightly compromised hair that could take lightener, but you just need to be careful with the type of lightener you're using. And then the third lightener you need is a clay lightener. The clay lightener is amazing, not only for balayage, because I love using actually traditional lightener for balayage and hair painting, but the clay lightener is great for like little color corrections. I love it for buffing out old toner, brightening up some blonde ends. There's lots of versatility with it. So to me, the clay lightener is almost kind of like the most hydrating. I call it like my magic eraser. So those are the 3 lighteners that I would go with. I can't say there's one that you can use for everything. You need 3 for sure. You talked a lot about learning the rules before you break them. Now that you know the rules, how do you personally break them? So I think this is all relative to each and every client. And then as you go through your entire career, you just kind of figure out what's going to work with you or for you. So, for example, I have clients that have extraordinarily thick, coarse, dark hair, right? I know that through experience, I might need to break the rules a little bit and use either a higher developer, use a lower mixing ratio, and process a specific way for that client. So that's what I mean by breaking the rules. You might not have to break the rules for every single client. There's just going to be some clients that lift a little funky or they need some extra pow. You know, it's just their genetic makeup of how their hair is. For example, I have this client that every time I put bleach lightener on it, it lifts to this neon peach color. It is the most interesting color I have ever seen somebody naturally lighten, and I definitely need that extra oomph for her hair because I don't know why it lifts to peach. It's like, and I can't neutralize this peach because it's like a neon peach. It's like the weirdest thing. I should probably take a picture of it the next time I do her highlights. But yeah, so that in that case, I would break the rules. Hope that answers your question. That's a good question. I have a client that wants to be blonde but doesn't want the damage, so she wants to do it slowly too. Okay, so let's read this next one here. Okay, I thought we weren't supposed to use metal whisks with lightener or colors. So, there are different types of metals that are made. So it's like when you think about metal, right? When it tells you don't mix it up in a metallic bowl or a metallic whisk or a metallic whatever. If you are putting it on a foil, you're instantly mixing or making that metal touch the lightener. So the foil, for example, is made with a different type of metal. Every type of, most of the time, if you're buying a truly color safe metal whisk, you should be okay. However, if the brand specifically tells you that, you shouldn't use a metal whisk. 1000% go get a plastic one. I know Redken makes them, Moroccan Oil makes them, tons of brands make them. I think Color Track makes them. So you can definitely find, you know, plastic whisks. I even think Fremar has the little like spatulas, which are really cool. That would be a great option if you're working with the lightener, like when I used for Misi and it was telling me to homogenize the lightener together. The spatula would have been a great option versus the brush. So just keeping your brush a little on the clean side. So if the brand does tell you no metal, definitely don't use it. But you should be okay with, in general, with the metal whisks that you can buy at the supply store. As long as it's not from like a cooking store or something like that. The swatches you have on the level finder for levels 8 through 10 are a lot darker and brassier than what I considered level 8 and 10 to be. 8 and 10 shouldn't have so much brass undertone, but more yellow, pale yellow. The outcome of those bleach swatches look more like an underlying pigment of 6.5 or 7 to me. So I think this, again, I'm going to go back to that, you know, lighting. Maybe it was the lighting on the first video, but even on the second video, I got comments like this. You are going to have some warmth even at a level 9. There's yellow, and every level finder is going to be slightly different, but in general, they're all the same because you're not looking necessarily at the tone. You're looking at the lightness of the swatch. That's how you're going to find the level. And if you have a little issue figuring out what that is, what I would suggest is grab your cell phone and put the camera on black and white and put your hair next to the level finder, and you will be able to see exactly what the true level is. All right. Next question that, unfortunately, if you're just joining, I can't share these with you because my technology was not working the way I wanted it to today. But no big deal. We're still going to answer them. Um, I don't really understand the stylist's insistence on not using above 20 volume, only healthy dark hair. Sure, if they're Caucasian with light hair, no need to go above 20, but I have Middle Eastern and Hispanic friends that just won't lift near satisfactory with 20 volume. Longer exposure time and repetitive lightening will also damage the hair significantly, even at lower levels. I love to see a version of this video with 30 or 40 volume. So I do plan on testing some of the lighteners with 30 or 40 volume, but the reason why I did not, again, use 30 or 40 volume, because most stylists do not use 30 or 40 volume with bleach lightener. There are some cases where I have used 30 and 40 volume, but most of the time, even brands will tell you on their instructions, which I know a lot of us don't read. We all get a container of lightener and we're like, I already know how to mix this up. Each lightener is going to be so different. So this is why you should read the instructions, get to know the product, get to know the lightener, see how it works, and then break the rules, right? So in this case, I will be testing some of the lighteners. For example, I really want to test the Framisi with 40 volume because I'm just so excited that it's like literally screaming at me saying, hey, you have to use 40 volume if you want this type of lift. And the fact that the integrity was so amazing, I definitely want to explore that a little bit more. But at the end of the day, if you see a controlled test and you know what 20 volume does, you can kind of imagine what 30 volume would do and also what 40 volume would do. So that's the purpose of a controlled test. So it's not that I'm telling you you can only use 20 volume. You might be able to use 10. You might be able to use 5. It's really kind of up to you at the end of the day. But I will be testing them on different developers. And then just to kind of go in with on the comment with the middle, you do a lot of Middle Eastern and Hispanic clients. I do as well. And for the most part, I'm using 20 or 30 volume, but I'm also reapplying during the process. So a lot of times I'll apply my 20 volume and I wait like 15, 20 minutes and see where it's at. And I get a new batch of lightener and I just apply it right on over because I just want to keep activating it. I want to keep making it push through. As long as the hair is in great condition, that's kind of my go-to. And this is why I work on so many dark haired clients and I take really big sections, but that's the best way that I can get it done because I can do my foils really quickly, but I'm also opening them up and reapplying 2 to maybe 3 times as much as their hair can handle, depending on the lightness that we're trying to achieve in one session. Let's read this. So you graded some of these swatches 7.25 or 7.5. How would you tone at these levels? Do you tone at a level 7 or a level 8? Okay, rule of thumb with toning, you always have to tone at the level or darker than you lifted to. You can't tone a level 7 hair swatch or even a 7.5 hair swatch with a level 8. Like you can if you're enhancing the warmth, but if you are trying to neutralize, you need to go at the level. So in this case, I would round down all the time because you will see some of those warm tones kind of starting to peek through the hair. So definitely at level or a level below is what I would go with for toning. Love the questions, you guys. Okay, so I'm halfway through with some of these comments. She's not applying enough, first of all. And she's trying to lighten thick swatches, not how we do it in salon. Sections should be thin depending on what you're trying to achieve. Okay, this was from Laura Valentine 8477. Okay, so Laura, I literally showed you 3 seconds of me applying lightener, so there's no way that you'd be able to see how much I'm truly saturating in a 3-second little frame. So I actually did take my time. There was a moment where we stopped the recording and I just kept applying because I didn't want to bore you guys in this hour video of testing all of these lighteners with me applying thoroughly the swatch. You guys kind of know that it needs to be applied thoroughly. So yes, I did in fact lighten it thoroughly, and you can tell because it's lifted evenly from the top to the bottom. I think I just missed the little top area, which that's not what I was even measuring. I was measuring the lightness on the mids to ends. But you are correct in the sense that not how we do it in the salon. Most of the time we're taking really thin sections, but I don't take thin sections. I take really thick sections and I get really great results. So again, you just have to know how to break the rules a little bit to make it work for you. But thank you for your comment nonetheless. All right, next comment here. I don't know what that comment is. That was kind of a weird one. It was just 30 volume. Whoops. Let's see what this one is. Hi Mirella, I really liked this video as well as the previous one. So this is coming from my second video. I love the concept of comparing all the different types of lighteners out there. I know your channel is geared towards continuing education for professionals, but as a hair DIYer, I was wondering if you'd even consider doing one of these videos for non-professional brands. I'd be super curious to see how lighteners from Ion, Arctic Fox, Bleach, London, and even Quick Blue, Splat, etc. would hold up against each other and against the professional brands, especially in terms of hair integrity. Amazing video. Okay, so super exciting news. I am going to be testing the Sally's lighteners. I am actually really excited to be testing those out because there's some professional stylists that still use Sally's products, and again, if they work for you, go for it. I know, like, for example, the Wella T11, or I don't remember what color it is. A lot of people love that toner, and it's sold at Sally's, and you can go get it. So at the end of the day, just because it's sold at Sally's doesn't mean it's like the worst type of product. There's going to be some great products that are sold at Sally's, and I'm excited to explore that a little bit more and give them a test. So aside from Sally's, I'm also going to be testing the salon-centric ones as well. But I think that's going to be my next video, is the salon-centric lighteners, because everybody wants me to test Matrix and Redken. So I definitely want to do that. And I used to be a Redken girly for most of my career. I'm excited to give them a test as well, because I do like some of the Redken lighteners. They work really, really well. Let's see here. What else we got? Thanks for the effort you put into these videos. Still not sure why you mixed Blonde Me in the other video at a 1.25. All the others wanted 2, but I appreciate the video nonetheless. Okay, so I know I've explained this a few times, and I did respond to this commenter, but when the brand is telling me you can either do this or you can do this, I am picking from that. It didn't give me the option at a 1 to 2. So that's why I did not do that. So unless the brand specified the actual mixing ratios, I chose the one that was closest in ratio. So in this case, it would have been the 1.25. But what I will say is, can you mix up Blonde Me at a 1 to 2? Probably, yes, right? But let's be real here. Do you think that going from a 1 to 2.5 to a 1 to 2 mixing ratio is really going to make that much of a difference? I don't think so. But if I did the 1 to 1.5, I think it would have made a difference, because we would have seen a huge little shift in it. So this is why 1 to 1.5 is a huge favorite mixing ratio with Schwarzkopf. However, I will say when I was mixing it up, it did feel kind of like on the thicker side to me. So the way I like my lightener, I do like it a little thinner, but regardless, this is why I did that. So if the brand said to mix it up a specific way, I picked one or the other. Let's see here. Let's put Lisa Blood. Great videos. What lightener did you find that doesn't swell? I'm not sure of the first question. I hate when I open up the foils and the bleach swelled so much that it hits parts of the scalp too much. Yeah, so like the Guy Tang one didn't swell very much. I'm trying to remember, because I tested 17 so far, so it's kind of hard to remember, to relive the video a little bit. I want to say I remember the Gai Tang one didn't swell. Like there were the ones that were a little bit more on the creamier side that just did not swell. So if I said a lot of puffy puff or a little bit of puffy puff, or if I didn't even mention it at all, it probably didn't have any swelling at all. But I would say like the Gai Tang one was the one that didn't swell. And a lot of people say that it doesn't swell as much with the cream lightener mixed in, which I still have to try. I'm trying to think of another one. I'm wondering if, let's see, let me see if I can look at my notes really quick. Okay. I'll get back to you, Lisa, but I'm gonna see if my assistant is gonna get back to me because I know we took some notes of which ones didn't swell too well. Oh, I think I totally missed this comment here. So sorry, Daya. Daya or Dayat, Daya T23. What's the best way for me to start going lighter? I'm dark brown. Oh no, I read this one already. Sorry, I'm going through all these comments. Sometimes I'm going through them kind of fast. Okay. Yes, Redken used to work for them. I literally loved Redken so much. I used Redken from 1999 through about 2014. So that's all I used ever was Redken. So I know it like the back of my hand. I loved it so much. I even got Redken certified. So I feel like my baseline a lot of the times is honestly because of Redken, like how I measure things. And I love how they try to bring in a lot of science with the way they do their education. So it's really fun. This is controversial, but what are your thoughts on mixing lighteners? There are some lighteners that that say that you can mix, but okay, Brianna, I am reading your comment. I just saw the one that you were born in 1999. Thanks for making me feel real old because that's when I graduated. But this is controversial mixing lighteners. I'm gonna say hard no, only because when I was doing testing with the R&D department at Henkel, which is a sister brand or the brand of all of the sister brands of Kenra, they have different chemicals that do different things, and some chemicals just shouldn't go together. So I would say unless you're like really versed in ingredients and knowing what you can mix, because there's some toxins that we can be inhaling or absorbing through our skin that can be really bad for us. So mixing lighteners in for me is like a hard no, but like I said, unless the brand specifies, like the Gai Tang one said you can mix the Magnum 8 with the Big 9 together. That means that they have a genetic makeup of the same thing, right? They're or not genetic makeup, but you know what I mean. Similar ingredients that they can be together. So for that reason, I would say definitely check on that. Let's see. Hi, new to the channel. Any non-traditional tips to help against bleach drying? Another question. I've heard Blonde Me Lightener kind of swells up more compared to some Wella lighteners. Is that true? So what I would say as far as help against bleach drying, definitely before you do any type of bleach lightening services, I think for me, it's highly recommended that you use some type of treatment building up to the appointment if you are experiencing a lot of dryness. This is particularly why I really love a brand like Olaplex. I think Olaplex is great to use before your appointment to kind of build up that inner core strength of the hair before your lightening service. Also doing some, masks at home. Those are all great things, but your lightener choice can play a huge role in that. And this is why I think a lot of brands are starting to integrate a lot of bond protection inside of their lighteners. So for example, there were some of the lighteners that I tested that had a lot of smoothness and slip to them. And this is partly why I love using Beyond Bond from Kenra. Even though it didn't give me a lot of lift, it does feel so amazing when I go and wash it out at the bowl because you get that hydration. Now, as far as the swelling component, like I said, I have a really bad memory unless I've used the lightener a few times because I did test 17 different lighteners. So I'm hoping that my assistant will get back to me about the notes that we had from which ones swelled the most versus the others. but I do know based on my experience and the experience of a lot of other commenters on the video that Blonde Me does swell up a lot with higher developers versus a lower mixing ratio and a lower developer. So uh, that could definitely, you know, be a problem with overlap and breakage for sure. Um, Amazing. I'll watch the video again. I love Redken Flash Lift. Yeah, I've used Redken Flash Lift so many times. Like I feel like that's a good general lightener for sure. It works really great. But I'm excited to test it again because I haven't used it in probably a decade, to be completely honest. Okay, love these questions, you guys. It's so awesome. I got a couple other comments here. Yes, a video comparing them all. Can you also explain how to neutralize at the step? So I think I kind of answered this one already, but if you want to know how to neutralize hair after you've lifted, general rule of thumb with toning, and this is why I have the Ultimate Toner Guidebook. So even though it has 150 formulas with Kenra formulas, there's tons of information in there, and one of those tips is what I'm about to tell you. So when you are depositing, you have to have an even canvas. Your canvas is everything. Your lift is everything. If you don't have the lift, you're not going to be able to tone at the level that you want. So, for example, if you're trying to tone at a level 9 or to a level 9, you need to lift to a level 9. That's just the golden rule. If you lifted to a level 8, you need a plan B. You need to tone with a level 8 or 7 toner. Those are your options. So, can you tone with a 9 on an 8? Yes, for enhancing, but no if you're trying to neutralize and control. If you're going for the control factor, you're not going to get the saturation and deposit that you need to get rid of that orange pigment. Because at a level 8, you have that yellow orange base. At a level 7, you have orange, right? You have a lot of orange. And orange is the most difficult color to neutralize. So this is why a lot of hairstylists dream of getting all hair to that level 9 for the most part. So unless you're doing like a red or a warm shade, it's totally fine to have an 8. But for sure you need that level 9 to get any type of coolness. This is why like silver is coming back, this trend of silver hair. And I'm kind of like excited and also nervous too, because we're going to have a ton of clients that are going to want silver, and a whole new batch of hairstylists are going to experience the trauma a lot of us experienced with this last silver trend. So for you to get silver, you have to lift to a level 910, pre-tone, and then color it silver again. So it's a very long, extensive process. Thank you, Catherine. Love your videos. I'm late, but will you try any of the Matrix Lighteners? Yes. So I'm hoping that my next video is going to be all of the salon-centric brands. I left Matrix out of the Cosmoprof video because Cosmoprof is such a big company, but so is L'Oreal, and L'Oreal owns Salon Centric and carries all of the L'Oreal brands as well as some other brands from other corporations. But I just decided to bundle the Matrix in with the Redken because I feel like they're sister brands. I felt like it just kind of made sense. But I will be trying the Matrix Lighteners. Like I said, I'm hoping that's going to be my next video. This Sunday I am taking a break from posting a video, so you'll have to kind of hang tight. I'm hoping to get the salon-centric video up for you next Sunday or the following Sunday, just because not tomorrow, Sunday I'm headed to Dallas, Texas, and I'm going to be part of the Modern Salon boot camp for hairstylists and salon owners, all about business. So I'll be busy on a little work trip, but once I get back, I'm going to be recording and we're going to get hopefully this video out to you. And once I do the salon-centric lighteners, I'm then going to do the Sally brand lighteners as well. So I'm so excited. I have like all kinds of stuff planned in the mix for you guys, but I'm so glad thank you so much for watching the videos and for loving them so far. I'm so glad you guys like it. It's definitely been a passion project because it has been a lot of money and time and resource to get these videos out to you. So I'm just so happy you guys love these videos. let's see here. Can you add 10? I'm guessing 10 vols. Can you add 10 vol or 20 vol to shades? Oh, to shades like Shades EQ? Um, I'm gonna say no, just because. I mean, I've never tried it, so I'm gonna say no if you're talking about Shades EQ. Just because Shades EQ is more on the acidic side, even though all toners are alkaline. Okay, that's a whole different topic. But because it doesn't have enough alkalinity, I think you'll just kind of get like a pigment shift. What I would say is try it on a swatch, see how it turns out. Maybe I'll do that on my YouTube channel. Maybe I try those out and try all of the little hacks that people do. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of people using vitamin C to remove color, so I kind of want to try that, or like baking soda. So it's just, little things like that. But I would say no to the developer, like 10 vol or 20 vol to shades. Um, I just don't really know what the purpose would be for that when there's other things that you're going to get more control over, I would say. But if you've tried it and it works, I would love to see what that looks like. And if you're on Instagram, tag me so I can take a little peeky peek at that. Um, can you do Redken flash lift? Yes, hopefully not this Sunday, but the next Sunday we'll get that posted. I'm so excited to give Redken a go round. I'm gonna try a good chunk of the Redken, Matrix, Lonza. I'm trying to think of the other ones that are in there. Um, might do Moroccan oil in that one, even though Moroccan oil technically is not carried at my salon Centrics in the West Coast, just because there's a lot of distributor rules. But Swice is on the West Coast for me, so we have just another distributor, Swice, that carries like Oligo, Moroccan oil, all of that. So I was thinking about doing one video for that, and then doing also all those Lightners that are carried at Bassett. That's another distributor that we would purchase through, and they carry Kuhn and a bunch of other brands. So I'm really excited to keep doing these videos for you guys. My mission is to test every single Lightener there is out there. That's my goal. What would your opinions be if a client only lifted a 6 and wants to be a 9? I would say, too bad, so sad. You're getting a level 6 toner today. Come back in 6 weeks. We'll see what we can do for you. Dominique only use Shades developer. Other developers have ammonia in them. So the developers, okay, I just want to clarify that just really quickly. The developer itself does not have any ammonia. There's no developer that has ammonia in them. Your ammonia is inside of your tube. And not to call you out, Lisa, I'm really sorry, but I just want to specify that because sometimes that can be a little confusing. The only thing that's inside of your bottle of developer is H2O2. It's hydrogen peroxide. It's hydrogen and oxygen. It's the driver. It's the thing that's going to make your lightener do its job. All of your ammonia, sodium persulfate, anything that is going to increase the alkalinity of the hair is inside of your powder, inside of the tube of color, inside of your bottle, all of that. So Shades EQ, for example, is lower on the pH scale. It is slightly alkaline, not quite alkaline enough that you can get a lot of lift in comparison to like a permanent hair color or even bleach lightener. So most of the time we're dealing with like pH levels of like 11 and 12 with like high lift and bleach or something. I don't even know if I'm quoting that right, but it's pretty high on the pH scale. This is why after doing any type of chemical service, it's really important to neutralize the hair with a neutralizing conditioner that's going to be at a 4.5 to 5.5 because that's the happy place of the hair. So when it comes to, your bottle of developer, that is just oxygen and peroxide. So, but to your point, yes, I would only use the Shades EQ developer with that for sure. Just because it's meant to go together. I'm a big believer that you should use the corresponding developer with the color. That's how you're gonna get the best results out of the color. These companies spend hundreds of thousands of dollars testing the products to make sure that they work the best for you. So regardless of whatever brand you're using, you should definitely always use the developer that goes with the brand first. And then, you can break the rules from there for sure. Um, yes, I'm definitely going to be doing Sally's. We already answered that one. I'll be doing a Sally's video. Opinions on clay lighteners. I'm mostly inexperienced with them. Okay, so clay lighteners. I don't know. I'm not really big on clay lighteners. I do think you need a clay lightener in your arsenal. I use clay lighteners for removing old toner and vivids. That's what I use clay lightener for. But when I'm doing balayage, I love like a good high lift blue powder lightener, something that's gonna work through the hair and give me a lot of lift. Because I think clay lighteners are just a little too much on the gentle side for me, in my opinion, to be honest. Um, like I feel like clay lightener, unless you're like that's your niche, you are a balayage artist. Um, you might want an array of different types of clays, but I don't really use that. I do, I think, more foiling than I do open air for sure. And even if I do open air, like I said, I use the traditional lightener for that. Let's see. There was a very well-known balayage hairstylist that said she actually doesn't use clay, but instead uses powerlifting lightener for her balayage. What are your thoughts on that? I just answered that. Powerlifting lightener all the way. Another issue I have is finding the right placement. My sectioning always seems like a mess. Any tips? Okay, so I have the highlight placement blueprint. It's one of my top selling mini courses, and it's a workbook. It's an audio, it's a video. It walks you through all of the stitch methods and placement. So that's huge. And it's going to explain to you about the placement. So if you haven't checked that out, I would definitely say that that's a great resource. I created it specifically because of this question that you're asking me. I had the same experience when I was a baby stylist, all the way up until probably year 7. I had no freaking clue like what I was doing when I was highlighting, and I was just kind of highlighting to highlight, and I would keep adding more foils, and I would just be like, oh, I need some more here and I need some more there, and I'm praying that it's going to come out. And sometimes I would have clients that are like, I don't like how this is laying, I don't like how this looks, like I want it chunky but I want it natural. And I was like, I don't know what that any of that means. So now that I've been doing this for so long and I've been educating since 2014, I created this blueprint so it can bring some more clarity to placement as well as the stitches and the effects that they're going to create. So definitely go check that out, because there's so much to talk about on that topic that I think that workbook will definitely be really helpful for you. If you were stuck on an island and could only take one lightener, what would it be? Well, first of all, I wouldn't be lightening my hair at all if I was on an island. That would be the least of my worries. But I would probably say, that's a tough one. I haven't had enough time to play with all these brand new lighteners that I just got. But I really do like my Beyond Bond from Kenra. That's the one I was so disappointed on. But I do like it just because I feel like I can put on more and more and more and keep lightening for as long as I want to, and it's gonna leave the hair so nice. So I think I would probably go with that one. Whoops, what was this one? I think I answered this question. Okay, so I have one more that I wanted to feature here, which again, I can't show you because I took screenshots and I can't share them on here. But do you think that maybe you would have a better lift on an actual person, considering that the natural warmth of the body temperature would assist in the lightener? 1000% yes. So like I mentioned in the second video, your overall body heat is going to aid in the lift that you can achieve. So I couldn't get that with the controlled test of the swatches. So yes, warmth and heat play a huge role. So realistically, will you probably get a little bit more lift than what my test showed you? Maybe by like a half a shade to a full level. And then also texture of hair matters, saturation matters, mixing ratios matter. There's so much that goes into lightener, and this is why what we do I think should be taken a lot more seriously than we're not kitchen beauticians, right? So I think that at the end of the day, having this knowledge and knowing how each of these lighteners work is super powerful and impactful. And now that you have the information, you can now kind of assess what the difference would be if you did different mixing ratio, different developer, different temperature in the room, your client's head heat. All of those things play a huge role. Let me see. Okay. Okay, so my assistant got back to me, and I think the one from the first video that had the least amount of swelling was the Joico Silverlight. Didn't have as much swelling. So I'm pretty sure it's that one, and that was with the 20 volume. But again, kind of to explain in my first comment earlier in this video, there are some lighteners, if you use lower developers, you're going to have less swelling with that because you're introducing less oxygen into your mixture. So this is why blonde meat lovers love 7 vol or 10 vol at a 1 to 1.5 mixing ratio. That's like the golden zone for a lot of blonde meat users, and I just can't work like that. Sometimes I gotta use my 20s. Sometimes I want to use my 30s. So, and I don't want the swelling. I don't want to deal with it. So I'll use a different lighter. But I do like Joico. It's something that I do carry in my salon. Probably the most common salons. Yeah, see, NP says, I love the 7 volume Blonde Me developer. A lot of people love that. I've never tried it, so but that's what everybody swears by because of the swelling too. It just doesn't swell as bad. Is it safe to mix a tiny bit of bleach into high lift color? I learned this technique maybe 25 years ago, but not sure about the pH. Yeah, so I'm gonna go back to what I was talking about earlier. Unless a brand specifies that, or you got that information from like a brand educator, like somebody who actually works for the brand, or if you're really versed on ingredients, because everybody has to give you the ingredients sheet, the MDS sheet, with any type of product that we're putting on our body. So if you know that I keep saying genetic makeup, but if you know that the makeup of the color and the bleach can be mixed together, then I would say yes. But for the most part, I would say no to that. It makes me a little nervous. Just a little bit nervous to say that. So just to err on the side of caution, I would say no. But there are some brands that will tell you can mix things together, so go for it. It's kind of like, for example, the Kenra Rapid Toners. Everyone thinks that you can only intermix the Rapid Toners with the Rapid Toners, but you can intermix the Rapid Toners with the regular Demi line. They're amazing for that. So sometimes I want to add a little bit of sheer Rapid Toner to my level 7 toner. So you can definitely, do that. It's totally fine to do that. When you're lightening dark hair to platinum in one sitting, no foils, what is the highest volume you can use on the scalp? So the highest volume you can use on the scalp is all relative to the brand you're using, because there are some brands that 1000% will tell you absolutely no 40 volume on the scalp, no 30 volume. Some will tell you only 20 volume on the scalp. So unless you are really experienced in doing bleach and tones on scalp lightening, you can break those rules and follow the manufacturer's instructions. That's the best advice I can give you. But some rule of thumb with a bleach and tone is I love using cotton, and I also love using a processing cap to encapsulate the heat. Just let it kind of do its little baking sesh and, just watch it. So that's going to be your best bet. I don't really feel like you need to use 40 volume on the scalp or 30 volume. I think generally 20 at the highest is probably fine, but I have seen stylists use some really funky stuff out there. So I would just err on the side of caution with that as well. You don't want to burn your client's scalp. That's probably the hugest issue for that. Is it safe to use high lift color with double 40 on the scalp? Yes, you can definitely. Most high lift colors you can totally use on scalp with double 40 on high lift. And you need to use double 40 with most high lift colors. And that's because the ammonia content in a high lift tube of color is double, like it's a lot higher on the pH level. This is why you need more developer to water down that ammonia content, because it can burn if you mix it up 1-to-1. I have seen it a million times. Thank you for your reply. I just want to say that some ingredients and Redken developers act like ammonia, and that's why I said what I did. They act so the ingredients in the tubes of color for sure. They might not have ammonia, but they do act like ammonia. Like for example, I'm trying to think. Oh, the no ammonia lightener in Kenra. A lot of people will pick up the no ammonia lightener, and this is like this is why it's so important for us to really like know ingredients, you guys. So, and I think we need to probably explore that a little bit more, because a lot of hairstylists will pick up a no ammonia product and think like, oh, it doesn't have ammonia, it must be gentle. That's not what that means. Ammonia has a fragrance. So when sometimes a brand will say it's no ammonia, what they're really saying is it's not going to have an ammonia scent. You're not going to have that fragrance, because some people are sensitive to smell. So no ammonia is basically like an odorless ingredient. And I want to say it has sodium persulfate. I could be wrong. I kind of don't remember. But what I will say is that the no ammonia actually had, like, I got some lightener on my fingers with the no ammonia, and that shit had some like major bite to my feet. Like I had to run to the sink and go wash it off. Like it was so stingy. So that was a huge indication for me that I was like, wow, this is not gentle whatsoever. And I did do a test side by side. As a matter of fact, deep in my Instagram, I did a strand test on a client where I did no ammonia and I did the Beyond Bond, and her hair was really compromised, and the Beyond Bond did better because the no ammonia was just too strong. So that's the misconception with no ammonia, is that it's not always the gentler option. I never used 40 volume in 3 years. I know, I feel like my 40 volume just kind of like sits on the shelf for a little bit. What are your thoughts on incorporating Olaplex or K18 into your lightener and your lightener services? So I love Olaplex. I think Olaplex is great. I also think K18 can be great. They're two different products. They do two different things. Personally, I like K18 for how fast it is, but I also love Olaplex because I feel like it, integrity wise, long term, does a phenomenal job. So I just love Olaplex, and I highly recommend it. All right, so I think I got through all of these comments. I went through everything here. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up because I've been on this live for an hour. That went by so fast. Okay, so just to give you a little heads up, I have tons of more education obviously on my YouTube channel. You guys can binge watch. Be on the lookout for the next Lightener video. I'm going to be doing the salon centric haul, as well as the Sally's and some other distributors as well. So you're going to see, I think the most highly requested ones has Lighteners have been Redken and Matrix. So that is next. I'm going to be posting that next Sunday after I get back from my trip, hopefully, crossing our fingers. That's the goal here. Once I get back, and I'm so excited to bring you guys those videos. Another thing too, I have something so exciting, and I'm actually going to write this in the comments. If you haven't heard about it yet, but I am launching Hairbnb University. So you can go to hairbn, as in Nancy, university.com and sign up for the wait list. I'm so excited to launch that. It is a subscription-based, affordable subscription-based education platform where there's tons of videos, and there's going to be new ones added every single month, as well as a community built inside. But it's going to give you either like small digestible videos to watch, and it's also going to give you long form digestible videos to watch as well. But I'm going to be talking all about hair, beauty, and business inside of Hairbnb. I'm so excited to launch this. It has been a passion project for sure. I've been working on it for the last year, and I'm so excited to bring that to you. And I really hope that, I get to see some of your beautiful faces in there. But, if you want some affordable quality education at your fingertips at any time, that's going to give you even more value than what's on my YouTube channel right now. You're definitely want to get on that wait list. But I'm so excited to launch it. I had seriously been dying to bring it to you guys, but life has happened so much. So I'm so excited to bring that. So definitely be on the lookout. And then, if you want to see like what other education I offer as well, I know I mentioned the highlight placement blueprint. If you're looking for placement, like understanding placement, understanding stitches, that's another great resource for you. I also have the Ultimate Toner Guidebook that has 150 toner formulas, but also tons of resources on how to learn how to tone inside that. And a bunch of little mini courses and stuff. So definitely go to my website, MirellaManelli.com. You can see everything over there. And I really hope that I get to see you in another live that I do. Hopefully we'll do another one after we do the salon-centric video, and then get all of your comments and stuff and kind of do a little recap of that. But thanks so much for sticking with me today on this beautiful Friday. I'm sure a lot of you have been really busy in the salon, but I will see you next Sunday.